Shalom, family. This is Judah. That's right. I'm back again. They refuse to leave Egypt. What exactly do I mean by that? Let's just go over a few things to point out and make my point. Exodus 1. The Israelites oppressed. Y'all just follow me. I'm going to make my point at the end. These are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt with Jacob, each with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin; Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The descendants of Jacob numbered 70 in all. Joseph was already in Egypt. Now Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation died. But the Israelites were exceedingly fruitful. They multiplied greatly, increased in numbers, and became so numerous that the land was filled with them, just like America. Then a new king, that's Trump, to whom Joseph meant nothing, came to power in Egypt. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become far too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous, and if a war breaks out, they will join our enemies and fight against us and leave the country. That should ring a bell. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built Pithom and Ramses as store cities of Pharaoh. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites, just like they do right now, and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor in brick and mortar, and with all kinds of work in the fields, and all their harsh labor, the Egyptians worked them ruthlessly. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shiphrah and Puah, when you are helping the Hebrew women during childbirth on the delivery stool, if you see that the baby is a boy, kill him. But if it's a girl, let her live. The midwives, however, feared the Creator and did not do what the king of Egypt had told them to do. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live? The midwives answered Pharaoh, Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and they give birth the midwives before the midwives arrive. So the Creator was kind to the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous. You see how the Creator can be generous who he chooses to be generous to, and to be mean who he chooses to be mean to. You can't put limits on it. And because the midwives feared the Creator, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people: every Hebrew boy that is born you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live. Exodus chapter 3, verse 9 to 10. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now, go, I am sending you, Moses. Pay attention. I am sending you. He's not coming down personally to deliver nobody. If he were, I think he would have said so. So now Go, Moses, I'm sending you. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that's exactly how this second Exodus is going to happen. What I can tell you is that the Most High, as most people like to call him, is pretty specific on his points. We just need to learn how to understand the scripture. Exodus chapter 3, verses 11 to 14. But Moses said to the Creator, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" And the Creator says, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship the Creator on this mountain." Moses said to the Creator, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The Creator of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they ask me, 'Well, what is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" The Creator said to Moses, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generation." Do you see now why I don't call him by any name except the Creator or I am? It's right here in black and white, or in my case, yellow, black, and white. "Go, assemble the elders." You youngsters, pay attention. This is here for a reason. And I'm not saying all elders are wise or scriptural competent. I'm simply pointing out that the Creator himself told Moses to go assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, "The Creator, the Father of your fathers, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, 'I have watched over you and have seen what has been done to you in Egypt. And I have promised to bring you up out of your misery in Egypt into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, the Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. The elders of Israel will listen to you." Why? Because the elders are supposed to have enveloped wisdom. It ain't something you just go to school and get. It's something that is put within you based on your life and experience. Every human on the planet does not experience the same events or situations. "Then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, 'The Creator, the Father of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to our Creator. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels him. So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I will perform among them. After that, he will let you go.'" This is what we are experiencing in the Western nations. There's a reason you can't get out, and it's not a coincidence that most of you don't have enough money. That was by design. You can't get the kind of jobs their people get. You can't make the money they make. So with all of your effort going to work from 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes till 10 o'clock at night, you can still just barely pay your bills. And I will make the Egyptians favorably disposed toward his people, so that when you leave, you will not go empty-handed. Now, what's happening in America right now? Look at all the crisis. Look at the lack of jobs. Look at all the people who can barely pay their rent. They can barely provide food for their family. Some of them are living on the streets. Some of them used to be high rollers. In other words, they used to have money, at least based on the standard of living that we are accustomed to. But we ain't never had it like they do. But this is happening right now. Look at all the chaos. Look at the weather. One side of the United States is freezing while the other side is on fire. Earthquake, hurricanes, tornadoes, hailstorms, floods, name it, it's happening. Exodus chapter 4, verse 21 to 23. And the Creator said to Moses, when you return to Egypt, see that you perform before Pharaoh all the wonders I have given you the power to do. But I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Then say to Pharaoh, this is what the Creator says, Israel is my firstborn son. And I told you, let my son go, so he may worship me. But you refuse to let him go, so I will kill your firstborn sons. Exodus chapter 4, verse 14 to 17. And Pharaoh's slave drivers beat the Israelites overseers that they had appointed, demanding, why haven't you met your quota of bricks yesterday or today as before? Then the Israelites overseers went and appealed to Pharaoh, why have you treated your servants this way? Your servants are given no straw, yet we are told, make bricks. Your servants are being beaten, but the fault is with your own people. Do you know who these overseers were? They were Egyptians that were placed over Israelites who were given a position of authority over the other Israelites. But these appointed Egyptians, they got beat because of the lack of quota met by the slaves. Pharaoh said, lazy. That's what you are, just lazy. How many times have us so-called African Americans ever heard that? The other nations say that about us all the time. Y'all just lazy. If y'all work like us, you can have what we got. This is a common saying, y'all. That is why you keep saying, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Exodus chapter 6, verse 2 to 3. The Creator also said to Moses, I am the Creator. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as the Creator Almighty. But by my name, I did not make myself fully known to them, which is why I keep telling y'all, call him what he said to, the Creator or I am, the great I am. Those are his words, not mine. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, where they resided as foreigners. So yeah, Israel they were in Canaan at one time. And they went back a second time to take the land. Exodus chapter 6, verse 13. Now the Creator spoke to Moses and to Aaron about the Israelites and Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And he commanded them to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. He commanded them. He did not come down in the flesh or any other way except by spirit. And that spirit motivated Moses and Aaron. And I'm pretty sure it's going to happen the same way this second time around. And he commanded them to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. In between this time, the plagues were upon Egypt. Exodus chapter 10, verse 7, 13. Pharaoh's officials said to him, "How long will this man be a snare to us? Let the people go so that they may worship their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is ruined?" Then Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh. "Go worship the Lord your God," he said, "but tell me who will be going." Moses answered, "We will go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, and with our flocks and herds, because we are to celebrate a festival to our Creator." Pharaoh said, "The Lord be with you. If I let you go, along with your women and children, clearly you are bent on evil." What a thing to say. "No, have only the men go." He telling Moses, only take the men, leave the women and children and everything else here. In other words, he feels like that's his guarantee that you have to come back. "No, have only the men go and worship the Lord, since that's what you have been asking for." Then Moses and Aaron were driven out of Pharaoh's presence once again. And the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over Egypt so that locusts swarm over the land and devour every growing thing in the fields. Everything left by the hail." So Moses stretched out his staff over Egypt, and the Creator made an east wind blow across the land all that day and all that night. By morning, the wind had brought the locust. Exodus chapter 12, verse 31 and 33. The Exodus. Pharaoh is fed up. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Up, get up, leave my people. Go, you and the Israelites, go. Worship the Creator as you have requested. Take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and go. And also bless me." The Egyptians urged the people to hurry, leave the country. Wow, that sounds like Jeremiah. "For otherwise," they said, "we will all die. If y'all don't get out of here, we're going to all die. Just take your stuff and go." It's going to happen again. Exodus 16, verse 1 to 3. And on the 15th day, I wonder, is that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday? I do know it's the 15th day, but I don't see anything referring to a Roman god here. On the 15th day of the second month, Notice everything is numbered. After they had left Egypt, the whole company of Israel moved on from Elim to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. The whole company of Israel complained against Moses. Now we get into the nitty-gritty of the people that's in this new Egypt that refused to leave. The whole company of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron there in the wilderness. The Israelites said, "Why didn't God let us die in comfort in Egypt, where we had lamb stew and all the bread we could eat? You brought us out into this wilderness to starve us to death." The whole company of Israel. That sounds real familiar to me, because when I try to inform my people of what the scripture has commanded of them to leave that forsaken country, they complain. They complain about the location, not enough money. You name it. They got complaints. We're going to find out why. But I'll tell you right now why. Because they have grown accustomed to the comfort of these God-forsaken nations. They have become accustomed to being able to get up and fry their bacon and eggs every morning, to have their steak at dinner, to be able to drive their new car to the grocery store. This is exactly what I'm hearing today from those of us in the Americas and other Western nations. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing anybody ask, except for a few, how do I do this? Instead, when I show them there is countries here in Africa that is extending an invitation for you to get out of that place. And I'm hearing things like, well, America is the land of Jerusalem. It's just been mockery. They have lied to us. Let me tell you something. The Creator says that land that you left, that he put you out of, you will not see it again anymore, by which you may not see it again. So that means you cannot be in the true land, because that wouldn't make sense. Why would he tell you he's taking you out of your land just to send you back to it? The Creator said to Moses, "I'm going to rain bread down from the skies for you," because he's heard their complaints. The people will go out and gather each day's ration. Check this out. I'm going to test them. I am going to test them to see if they will live according to my teaching or not. And on the sixth day, these people with lack of understanding will call that Friday. Yeah. But I don't see that in the book. And I know for sure, if the Creator wanted us to call the seventh day Saturday, he would have said so. When they prepare what they have gathered, it will turn out to be twice as much as their daily ration. Moses and Aaron told the people of Israel, "This evening you will know that it is the Creator who brought you out of Egypt," even though he summoned Moses to physically do the job. "And in the morning you will see the glory of the Creator." Yes, he's listened to your complaints against him. You haven't been complaining against us, but against your Creator. This is what I go through every time Well, almost every time I do a lesson, I get complaints. Your complaint is not with me. Read the book. Don't forget the context so you can understand. Your complaint is not with me. It's against the Creator. Moses said, since it will be the Creator who gives you meat for your meal in the evening and your fill of bread in the morning, it is Him who will have listened to your complaints against Him. Who are we in all of this? You haven't been complaining to us. You've been complaining to the Creator. Moses instructed Aaron, tell the whole company of Israel, come near to the Creator. He has heard your complaints. When Aaron gave out the instructions to the whole company of Israel, they turned to face the wilderness, and there it was, the glory of the Creator visible in the cloud. The Creator spoke to Moses, I have listened to the complaints of the Israelites. Now tell them, at dusk you will eat meat, and at dawn you will eat your fill of bread. And you will realize that I am. Let me say that again. You will realize that I am your Father, your Creator. That evening, quail flew in and covered the camp. In the morning, there was a layer of dew all over the camp. When the layer of dew had lifted, there on the wilderness ground was a fine flaky something, fine as frost on the ground. The Israelites took one look and said to one another, Manhu, which means, what is it? They had no idea what that was. So Moses told them, it's the bread that your father has given you to eat. And these are the Creator's instructions. Gather enough for each person, about 2 quarts per person. Gather enough for everyone in your tent. The people of Israel went to work and started gathering, some more, some less. But when they measured out what they had gathered, those who gathered more had no extra, and those who gathered less did not come up short. Each person had gathered as much as was needed, even though that wasn't their intent. Some of them were greedy. They thought the more they grabbed, the more they was going to have. But as you saw right here, those who gathered more had no extra, and those who gathered less did not come up short. Moses said to them, don't leave any of this until morning. But they didn't listen to Moses, just like they don't listen to nobody that tries to inform them on what the scripture is saying. It's something about our people. They hate to listen. But they didn't listen to Moses. A few of the men kept back some of it until morning. And it got wormy and it smelled terrible. And Moses lost his temper with them. Just like a lot of those people in my past has claimed that I was being arrogant toward them. But if they would stop to think about the stuff they say, they would understand the reason I respond the way I do, because I warned them up front. Don't bring this crap here. So if I tell you don't come in my house when I'm not there, and I come home and I find you there, I'm going to whoop your ass. You can call it losing my temper, whatever you want to call it. But here's a clear example of the reason why. They gathered it every morning, each person according to the need. Then the sun heated up and it melted. On the 6th day, is that say, let's see, what is that, Saturday? Huh. Well, it don't say Saturday, so we're just going to go with it was a 6th day. It was a 6th day, not Saturday. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread, about 4 quarts per person. Then the leaders of the company came to Moses and reported. Moses said, this is what the Creator was talking about. Tomorrow is a day of rest, a holy Sabbath to the Creator. Whatever you plan to bake, bake today. Whatever you plan to boil, boil today. Then set aside what's left over until the morning. They set aside what was left until morning, and Moses, as Moses had commanded. It didn't smell bad, and there were no worms in it, because they obeyed. Moses said, now eat it. This is the day, a Sabbath for our Father, the Creator. You won't find any of it on the ground today. Gather it every day for 6 days. I believe he would have said Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But no, he didn't say that. Gather it every day for 6 days. And check this out. But on the 7th day, not Saturday, is the Sabbath. There will not be any of it left on the ground. So on the 7th day, some of the people went out to gather anyway, but they didn't find anything. The Creator said to Moses, how long are you going to disobey my commands and not follow my instructions? Don't you see that the Creator has given you the Sabbath? So on the 6th day, again, I want y'all to really pay attention to how these days are related, how these days are what's the word I'm looking for? Referred to. Not one time have we heard Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We have not seen it nor heard it, but we do hear on the 6th day, he gives you bread for 2 days. So each of you stay home. Y'all pay attention now. Each of you stay home. Don't leave home on the 7th day. Now, if you don't know the true 7th day, you're going to wind up doing exactly what you were told not to do. And then get mad at me if I point it out to you. So the people quit working on the 7th day. The Israelites named it manna. What is it? That's what this word means. What is it? It looked like coriander seed, whitish, and it tasted like a cracker with honey. Moses said, this is the Creator's command. Keep a 2-quart jar of it, an omer, for future generations, so that they can see the bread that I fed you in the wilderness after I brought you out of Egypt. Now, it's unfortunate and a shame that that was not kept, because we today should have been able to see with our own eyes what they ate from the Creator raining it down from heaven back in that day. But because of their rebellion and their ignorance, they did not preserve it for us. Moses told Aaron, take a jar and fill it with 2 quarts of manna. Place it before the Creator, keeping it safe for future generations. That would be us. Aaron did what the Creator commanded Moses. He set it aside before the testimony to preserve it. The Israelites ate the manna for 40 years until they arrived at the land where they would settle down. They ate manna until they reached the border into Canaan. According to ancient measurements, an omer is 1/10 of an ephah. According to the Bible, the Creator killed many Israelites in the desert during their 40 years of wandering after the Exodus from Egypt, primarily as a punishment for their repeated acts of rebellion and a lack of faith, most notably described in the book of Numbers, where they complained about their situation and doubted the promise of the Creator of the promised land. This resulted in the entire generation dying in the wilderness before ever reaching Canaan. How important is it to obey the laws? How critical is it for you to be rebellious, who rejects correction, who think you know it all, who complains about everything? Let me tell you something. Whatever you got right now, instead of you appreciating that, you complain that it's not enough. How important is it to obey the laws? Numbers chapter 3, verse 1 to 4. This is the account of the family of Aaron and Moses at the time the Creator spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai. The names of the sons of Aaron were Nadab, the firstborn of Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Those were the names of Aaron's sons, the appointed priests, who were ordained to serve as priests. Now, I got to stop and say this. This is so critical to me because I see so many YouTubers claiming to be from the royal priesthood. And have you been ordained? And if you say you've been ordained, who ordained you? Because there is a certain ritual to be practiced and acted out according to the Creator himself, not some other man that just decided, I will do it for you, brother. Y'all better wake up. Now, Nadab and Abihu, however, Aaron's sons, died before the Creator when they made an offering, y'all listen, with an unauthorized fire before him in the desert of Sinai. Do you understand what that means? What they did could be considered a noble thing because their intentions were good. But what happened? They broke the law. I'm going to sit here for a second or two. I want y'all to chew on that because I see this a lot. So let me say this one more time. Nadab and Abihu, however, died before the Creator when they made an offering with an unauthorized fire before him in the desert of Sinai. So now do you understand how important, how critical it is to make sure you understand what you read? Because if you read a law that you don't understand and then you go out and teach others to break the same law that you break because you don't understand. Numbers chapter 11, summary. In Numbers 11, the Israelites complain about their hardships, including being hungry and wanting meat. The Creator hears their complaint and becomes angry. The Creator sends fire that burns among the Israelites, destroying some around the outer parts of the tents. Now, why did the Creator become angry? Because of their complaints. They were ungrateful. They wasn't starving. They wasn't going to starve to death. They had water. But they had what they had. They didn't think it was enough. They didn't trust that the Creator knew exactly what they needed, provided exactly what they needed. for his purpose and theirs. But this is why that happened. Their complaints, and he becomes angry. The Creator sends fire that burns among the Israelites, destroying some around the outer parts of the tents. The people cry to Moses, who prays to the Creator, and the fire goes out. The Israelites complain again and say, "Who will give us meat to eat?" See how stupid our people are? See how rebellious and ignorant they are, and you can't tell them nothing. You go out of your way, you spend your money on spend your time to research scriptures so they can have something that they can use to reach their salvation. And what do? They complain. The Israelites complain again and say, "Who will give us meat to eat?" Whether you realize it or not, in case there are Christians listening to this channel today, when I bring these scriptures to you, I am feeding you. And when you complain, you're telling me, mostly the Creator, that's not enough. The Israelites are greedy, and they want more than they have, more than manna. The Israelites' self-pity blinds them to the reality of their situation and robs them of their blessings and their visions. According to the Bible, in the story of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, found in Numbers chapter 16, the Creator opened the ground in the desert to swallow a group of Israelites, specifically those who rebelled against Moses and Aaron, including Korah and Dathan and Abiram and their followers, when the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them whole with their possessions. This is considered a divine punishment for their rebellion. Here's some key points. Location. This event happened in the desert where the Israelites were wandering after leaving Egypt. The reason? The Israelites involved were rebelling against Moses' leadership and questioning the Creator's authority. The description: the Bible describes the earth as opening its mouth and swallowing the men and their families and all their belongings. Wake up, my people. You are out of time. Shalom.